Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde. I'm joined alongside my co-host, London Beth, and we come to you today with heavy hearts because the Bulls did not make that big push after the trade deadline this year. Just, kind of after the first 10 games after this trade deadline, the Bulls are 3-7. So the Bulls are sitting at the number 10 seed in the East, 15 and a half back out of first place. So there's no way the Bulls are making that push to become the leaders and get home court advantage. It's just not happening. But they're only 5 games back to the slipping Hornets and the 7th seed Miami Heat. So London also like to bring this to my attention that we are only 1 game ahead of the Raptors and 1 game ahead of the Wizards. Yes, the Washington Wizards are only 1 game back of the 10 seed to the Chicago Bulls, which should not have been the situation. The Wizards were supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. So everything is just going south when things were supposed to go up. So London, initial reaction to everything that's been going on with the Bulls over the last 10 games.
I'm literally sitting here and I have these weird goosebumps that are like itchy, and I think it's out of the anxiety of watching these Bulls play night in and night out. My initial reaction, although was excited right after March 25th when we got, Vuk and just, brought in Tony Brown. I was like, great defender, all these different kinds of players. And I was looking, and I remember, Nick, you and I were talking. I was looking really quick at the rest of our schedule at the time, and I'm like, man, we got, the Spurs, we got the Timberwolves, we got the Magic, blah, 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 blah. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, other than maybe playing the Bucks twice and the Celtics, I was like, man, we got a really good schedule for this, after trade deadline push. So far, 3-7.
So not the exact winning percentage that we were expecting after getting rid of what we thought made our team worse. Our team is performing worse than it was before. So, I couldn't agree more to that. Like, it's just all the talent's there, and the Heat is starting to get on Billy Donovan because he has a very talented roster. And sure, there's been injuries. I know Kobe's been in and out. Lowry's, a glass house. Vuk's been playing though, which is great. Zach LaVine, anytime a player gets an ankle injury during the season, especially in basketball, that is going to affect the rest of your season. Cause when you sprain your ankle, when you're leaving a bar and you accidentally roll your ankle, and then for the next 2 weeks, you're in major pain. Well, those guys are constantly walking on it and running on it and putting pressure on it every single day. It's not going to happen. I had a take a while ago that was like, you need your hamstrings to walk, and, it's a basic take, but, a hamstring, any sort of leg injury, especially ankle or hamstring or quad, is just going to mess up your season. So this is not what we were expecting as Bulls fans. But thank God we have the first round pick next year, but we don't have the first round pick the following year. So when does the rebuild stop is pretty much where we're sitting at. But London, before we start focusing on the rebuild, the Bulls still have a shot at making the playoffs. Somehow there's 18 games left this season. So there's still that slim chance, get hot at the right moment. Fine. But, kind of give me the breakdown of what the playoffs are looking like, the bracket wise. Give me the full scope of things.
Yeah, full scope of things. Man, I thought it was going to be a lot better at this point, but thank God, 2021. There's a playoff play-in bracket that they're trying out for the first time. I've heard a lot on like ESPN and Fox Sports and all these other kinds of different places. People are very pro and con on it. I know Mark Cuban just came out because the Mavericks have been kind of surging a little bit with Luka Doncic and stuff like that, and he came out and he hated it. He's like, we're playing our butts off, we're winning these tough games. Luka just hit an absolute dynamite buzzer beater last night that was all over Twitter, and he's like, I'm kind of pissed that these other teams that are just kind of hanging around and are going to be in that 9th or 10th seed, we're going to have to play them, and we're going to potentially maybe lose to them. And then I thought to myself, yeah, Mark, you're 100% right, but our Bulls are that 10th seed that we need. So I was like, you know what? You're right. I agree. These surging teams do deserve to be in it. And honestly, them losing to a 9th or 10th seed because of this new playoff bracket, which what it is, just for our viewers who don't know, at the conclusion of the regular season, before the first round of the playoffs start, the teams with the 7th highest win percentage of each conference will host the team with the 8th highest win percentage in a play-in game for the seventh and eighth game. And so pretty much what it is whoever in the conferences are like 10 and like where the Bulls are kind of at right now, where the Raptors are kind of at right now, and honestly, maybe where the Wizards are at right now, are going to be able to play each other to see who kind of gets bumped up. But again, Mark Cuban was pissed about it. If I was any other fan of any other team, if I was a Mavericks fan, I'd be pissed also. But I'm like, oh man, like we need that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm super, super upset that I'm having to say that we're hanging on one game ahead of the Washington Wizards and that I'm hoping and praying we get a ninth or 10th seed to play into the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like that's just, it's ridiculous. It's hopeless. And I feel helpless, just like I feel helpless with the Bears.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves there with the Bears. We just hit on that yesterday. There's still hope there, but the Bulls are closer to the hope, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be a win now team. They have a roster that can attract free agents, a coach that can attract free agents, but now free agents are going, so you guys are a lot better than you were. You have depth on your bench. You have a coach and a front office that everyone wants to play for, but you're still losing games. I get that you got to gel. I think that if they would have played together all season, again, it would have been a different ball game. I think the Bulls would have been at least in the 7th seed at this point,
Yeah.
but I know you agree with Mark Cuban. If it wasn't in the Bulls situation that this play-in is stupid, I think that it's also stupid. It's you make it or you don't, and you play hard all season, and that also kind of encourages the whole tanking to get a lottery pick because if you have a shot still at the 10 seed to get into the playoffs, you could still get a lottery pick. So it doesn't seem logical to me. I know that they're just trying to make sure fans stay engaged, especially with big market teams. The Bulls, having the Bulls in the playoffs makes the NBA millions of dollars. Having take them out, guess what? You're going to lose millions of dollars.
Yeah.
If you have the Wizards, you have I guess the Raptors are now getting on the edge of being a big market team, especially with how everything went down and Drake pushing them. So, but yeah, if I, as a Bulls fan, if it wasn't the Bulls, I would think it's stupid. But the thing is that Mark Cuban's the kind of guy that even if the Mavs sucked, he would be like, it's still stupid. He's a straight shooter kind of guy. So,
it's true. And it also very much affects, and I heard this morning when I was driving into work. It also really affects like the whole like sitting players and sitting out games and stuff. Because the Lakers, for example, I mean, they're still sitting out Anthony Davis. Andre Drummond has limited minutes. The Nets are kind of doing the same thing because they're not worried. If the Lakers slip all the way down, from the 4th seed all the way down to the 9th seed, they're probably going to beat whatever 10th seed they're going to play, and then probably roll the dice through the playoffs. So it kind of also ruins that because right now we see a lot of people who are upset because if you're a Memphis Grizzlies, with Ja Morant season ticket holder, no one's playing when they go to Memphis. You know what I mean? You're going to see Ja Morant dunking on the second team of anybody they're playing. And honestly, that includes teams like the Bucks and stuff, where you really thought wouldn't be those teams to like rest players. But with this new playoff thing, again, if it wasn't for the Bulls, we're praying we get to the playoffs and we need those two extra, things. But if it wasn't for that, yeah, I'd be pissed about it also. Because it's ruining.
The playoffs are 10 teams now, if you think about it. The playoffs start with 9 and 10, which it's fun, but you're bad basketball teams going at it. So, it's an experiment like everything else. The team every 10, when you become a fan, you're used to what was set up in that league. You ask fans from 20 years before how much the league has changed, how upset they've been, and you don't understand it. But now that you and I are getting to the age where we've been fans for over, a decade and a half now for any team, and we see these changes, we're like, whoa, no, I liked it that way. Same thing happens. So it's just a league thing. It's just a professional sports thing, whatever makes them more money, because everything's about money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, kind of going off that, London, there's 18 games left till the season's over. The Grizzlies are in there. Cleveland's in there. I mean, Boston's in there. Miami, the Bucks. It's a lot tougher than it was over these last 10 games where the Bulls could have taken advantage, instead of going 3-7, could have gone 7-3, put themselves in the position, you lose a game or two, we're still right and within reach. So the Bull, I mean, it's good that we play the Hornets twice. It's good that we play the Heat, looks like twice. So you win all 4 of those games, you're bridging the gap between making the playoffs and not. But London, out of these last 18 games, I'm going to read them really fast for you. And I know you probably ahead of time have your record predicted. I have mine. But right now for the viewers, we play the Grizzlies at home, Cleveland at home, Boston, at Cleveland, home for Charlotte, at Miami, at New York, home for the Bucks, at Atlanta, home. Shout out Cordell Patterson for signing with the Falcons. Home for the Sixers, in Charlotte, Boston, Detroit, Brooklyn, Toronto, Brooklyn, Milwaukee. I got tired of saying at there. Like, they're just games because there's barely any fans anyway at these games. So super tough schedule. That is not a casual schedule. Like, having the Sixers in there once, you have the Bucks in there twice, you have Boston in there twice. You know, Toronto's gonna be playing their heart out. What are you thinking in the last 18 games, London?
If you would have asked me this, like I said, about 10 games ago, when we were, like I said, I thought after the deadline we were going to make this push, and we're losing to teams now like the Orlando Magic. Okay,
Right.
like we gave them Otto Porter Jr. and Wendell Carter.
And we took their assets.
And we took their assets, and then we lose to them, and we lost to them by like 9 points. We lost to the Grizzlies twice, who are missing players. I mean, I thought for a second when we beat the Nets, the Pacers, and the Raptors, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're doing good. And then we just can't play defense. So based on the last 18 games that you just listed off, honestly, I would say out of these, we win 9. I would say we can sweep Cleveland. Maybe we'll sweep the Hornets because they're falling. Maybe we'll beat Miami once out of those 2 games. Detroit, yeah, and then maybe we like steal one from the Raptors. But right now, just with how we're playing defense and just how the team is gelling, we're not beating the Bucks. I don't even care if the Nets sit their entire team. I don't even think we can beat them twice.
Yeah, that was a fluke.
Yeah. Boston is surging right now. I don't see us beating them. And for some odd reason, I think we have a better roster than Atlanta. But every time we go against them, for some odd reason, we just let Trae Young score 50 points.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. And also, I don't think we can beat the New York Knicks right now, even though, again, I think we have a better roster.
I mean, the Knicks are driven off Julius Randle. That's their offense.
Yeah. And so if I was a betting man, which I am, I would say out of the next 18 games, realistically, we win 9, which is half, which I don't even think gets us into I think we might miss out on the playoffs if that's the case. I think we have to win somewhere around 12 to even keep the 10th seed.
So the Chicago Bulls right now are sitting, the Bulls are sitting at 22-32. They win 9. That leaves them at 31-41. Okay, fair. So that's not going to make the playoffs this year. I mean, it's the East, weaker conference. You're not going to make the playoffs, though. You're not with that record. I like your comment with 12. I could see the Bulls pulling off 12 with this. I could see them bouncing back on tomorrow night against Memphis. I could see them beating Cleveland, Boston losing, beating Cleveland again. They have to beat Charlotte, and it's at home.
Charlotte.
If they sweep Miami, so if they win their next 6 out of 7, which that's just me being an optimistic Bulls fan, if they can win the next 6 out of their 7, they're right back in the driver's seat. They're pushing teams back that are a threat to them, and the Bulls could make that late playoff push in order to get in. But here's the other thing, though, is that we don't have next year's, we don't have 2023's first round pick. We have 2022's. We don't have 2023's. So. No, I'm sorry. We have this year's. We have this year's first round pick, and then next year's. No. Okay. We don't have this year's. We have next year's, and then we don't have the following year. Yeah. Okay. We're good. With that, I would rather have the Bulls lose. I would rather the Bulls lose the rest of their games, keep that high draft pick in order to get another star because Larry Markkinen's not working out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He is not coming back to the roster. He's not getting 25 million. That's for sure. There's no chance. The guy is not worth more than $14 million a year. And that's me being generous because he's been a Bull. But, you know, could the Bulls win 12? I could see them winning 12. As a fan that wants the future, lose out. You know, you're already in a position to lose out unless you magically become healthy. You go on this incredible run of winning 10 games out of like 12. Then it's like, okay, I feel confident. You're going into the playoffs. You're hot at the right time. But I could see the Bulls finishing with 12. I want them to lose out. That's my final take on the final.
And Nick, that was going to be my little tidbit right at the end there. So good stuff for you. Because I'm so unconfident in them actually even being able to win 9 games, which is half the games they have remaining.
Right.
I would not be surprised, and I would tell every Bulls fan, do not be surprised, and don't go on Twitter and get all upset when we just lose a bunch more games. Because, Nick, honestly, you're completely right. We have one more year maybe out of a rebuild, and after that, we kind of leveraged a little bit of our future for a phenomenal player who I think we should have got, and I'm totally fine with it. So if we do lose out and it gives us a little more draft stock so we can get maybe one more piece to try to then next year make that push, I'm actually okay with it just because based on our last 10 games, we didn't, we went 3-7. It's not, I mean, we had to win some of those games and we didn't. So I agree with you. And I don't want to see on Twitter Bulls fans being like, oh, we choked it. We're screwed. We're not making the playoff. It's like, it's actually okay. Because honestly, when you're losing to the Magic, I don't really think you even deserve to go to the playoffs.
Especially at this point, Magic 2010 with Dwight Howard, by all means, man. Sure. You should be losing to the Magic back then. But, I agree with you. I'm happy we're on the same page in regards to the playoffs. Bulls fans, just calm down. We were not destined to be a playoff team this year, even before this great trade. And guys got to get used to each other. Wait for the summer where we have suddenly cap money to, pay a big name to come in. And then you have a three-headed monster that can take down teams like Brooklyn, that can take teams down like Milwaukee. I mean, there's no one on the market that's like Giannis, but Giannis has been taken down before, and he can be taken down again. So with that, London and I just wanted to give you a quick update on the Bulls and not to panic. London, final message for Bulls fans before we log off.
Don't panic. Don't go on Twitter. Don't freak out. Don't yell at Billy Donovan. He's a phenomenal coach. Everybody, we're seeing a corner. We're turning a corner here. Don't get too ahead of that corner and freak out and think that, we need to dispose of everything. We got rid of great contracts. We got rid of Wendell Carter. We're good.
The world may be ending soon eventually, but it's not ending today with the Bulls. So with that, we're wrapping up this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde, joined alongside my co-host London Beth. We had a great time with you guys today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good one, Chicago.